In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the third episode of Attack on Titan Season 4. Episode 3 saw the story return to Paradis Island in the form of a flashback, where we witnessed the original attack on the walls from all those years ago, but this time from a different perspective. This video will explain everything that I thought was interesting about the episode, including Reiner's backstory, Falco's new friend, and the real reason why this Titan did not eat Bertolt. Before we begin, be sure to hit that sub button if you want to see more Attack on Titan videos like this, and as usual, let me know your thoughts on the episode down below. Okay, so episode 3 was called A Door of Hope, and it starts off with Reiner back at his childhood home in Liberio. As he lies on his bed, he begins to reminisce about the past, and we see a younger Reiner struggling through the intense training it takes to become a warrior candidate. The anime left this part out, but in the manga, Reiner watched on as Bertolt, Annie, and Marcel were selected to be candidates before he was, and that kind of emphasized the fact that Reiner was the least skilled of all the eventual warrior candidates. However, thanks to his unwavering dedication to Mali, he was selected to become a candidate in the end, and Zeke tells them that everyone, except for one person, will be inheriting a Titan soon. As we saw, Porco was certain that the one person to miss out would be Reiner, because in his mind, Reiner was just a bootlicker who had just listened to a lot of Malian propaganda. This is why Reiner began shouting in his face and started ranting about the devils on the island, earning himself a nice punch to the face. I love how after he got punched in the face, Zeke just casually told the others to come once Reiner had finished crying. Like, was this a regular occurrence? Anyway, it was after this beatdown from Porco that we got a better understanding of Reiner's motivations, and this will be very relevant in the upcoming episodes. In this scene, Reiner reveals that he wants to become an honorary Malian so that his mother and father can live together. But the underlying motivation beneath that is that he also wants to become a hero to the world by eliminating the devils on the island. This is partly why later in the episode, he convinces the other warriors to continue with the mission even after Marcel had died. Just before we move on, the anime showed us this scene of a young Eren inside the walls, and we previously saw this same moment during season 1, in which Armin showed Eren a book about the outside world. This book is what sparked Eren's desire to see the ocean and free himself from the confines of the walls. And it just so happened that on this same day, Reiner was stating his desire to become a hero. Moving on, the flashback then has a small time skip in which we get this Suicide Squad style introduction to the new Titan shifters. By this point, Reiner has inherited the Armored Titan as we knew he would, and he helps take down an enemy nation alongside his fellow warriors. It was pretty awesome seeing all 7 of these Titans in action at the same time, not to mention seeing Marcel's Jaw Titan as well. For those who've missed my previous review, Marcel is the brother of Porco, who is the current Jaws Titan in the present day. This whole sequence is basically meant to show us why Mali was so confident in sending 4 children to invade Paradis Island. Having just crushed an enemy nation with ease, surely these kids would be able to steal the founding Titan from within the walls and wipe out the Eldians who were living there. I mean, it didn't work out, but who knows, maybe if the founding Titan was someone other than this maniac, then maybe they might have succeeded. The scene then moves over to Porco threatening Reiner, as he just can't believe that the bootlicker has actually managed to nab himself a Titan shifter. As Porco is held back by his brother, Reiner notices that there's something off about Marcel, but we'll explain that later. These 4 candidates were the ones selected for the invasion of the island, but the Beast Titan and the Cart Titan were left at home because, if you send all the Titans at once, then Mali's going to be very vulnerable, and so that's why they kept behind Zeke and Peak. During the parade, Reiner spots his estranged father, who is not an Eldian, he is a Malian citizen, and throughout his childhood, Reiner was kind of led to believe that if he became a warrior, and by default, if you're a warrior, you are also a citizen of Mali, then he thought he'd be able to live with his parents. But as we can see, his father wanted nothing to do with him, and basically considers Reiner to be a mistake. The anime then progresses to the invasion of the island, and as the kids make their journey towards the walls, they stop for a brief moment and gather around the fire. It was here that we discovered why Marcel was acting strange, with the reason being that Porco was actually meant to be the Armored Titan, but Marcel did everything in his power to kind of hurt his brother's reputation and at the same time put Reiner on a pedestal. He did this to protect his younger brother because, there are many dangers associated with being a Titan, with the Curse of Ymir being the most obvious. Marcel tearfully apologizes to Reiner for what he did, but just as Reiner is processing this information, a random Titan appears out of the ground and literally tries to eat him there and then. This Titan was Ymir, and prior to this moment she'd been a pure Titan for about 60 years. The reason she appeared was because the sunlight provides energy to the pure Titans, and with the sun rising, she had the energy she needed to get up and have some breakfast. Luckily for Reiner, Marcel pushed him out of the way, saving his life in the process. After fleeing the scene, Reiner is confronted by Annie, who wants to abandon the mission and return to Mali. Annie's plan was to return home after finding whoever stole the Jaws Titan, which is Ymir, like I said. In her words, she didn't think the mission could succeed without Marcel's leadership. Reiner insisted that they persevere with the plan to invade the walls, and he had a few different reasons. Number one was that he wanted to save his own skin and avoid being eaten by the next armored Titan. And reason number two is that he he wanted to be a hero so that people would respect him. And that's the part that he didn't say out loud. Being a hero was his secret motivation for continuing the plan, and after Annie had beaten the crap out of him, Reiner promised that he would fill the void that Marcel left behind. Once they arrived at the wall, Bertolt smashed through the gate as we know, but he was then confronted by a Titan which could very easily have eaten him. This Titan used to be Dina Fritz, who is the mother of YAEGER and the former wife of Grisha. Any other Titan would have eaten Bertolt in this situation, but as we know, this pure Titan is special. Not only does she have royal blood flowing through her veins, but before she was transformed, she promised Grisha that she would find him somehow. It cannot be a coincidence that she said these words, and then immediately when the opportunity arose, she went to Grisha's house and ate his new wife. This Titan only had one goal in mind, and it was to find Grisha, and because she's a Titan of royal blood, I am certain that the paths that connect all Eldians played a role in her discovering Grisha's family home, not to mention finding Eren again later in the series. If she was anyone else, then Bertolt would have lost the Colossal Titan at this moment, guaranteed. Anyway, Reiner and the gang were able to sneak into the walls thanks to all the chaos, and in this scene we can see that Armin, Mikasa and Eren are among the refugees. Later on, the warriors meet a man from a small village in the mountains who tells them his story of how his family was eaten by Titans. After that man killed himself, the three of them decided to adopt his story as their own. Very disrespectful of them, but you gotta do what you gotta do. 5 years after they arrived on the island, Annie was the main member of the group who was actually, following through with the mission. Based on the info they had, the king was in possession of the founding Titan, and so Annie began to follow a mysterious man in a black coat who was one of the royal government officials. This man was Kenny Ackerman, aka Levi's favorite uncle, and he started working with the royals after his dangerous encounter with the previous king of the walls. After catching her by surprise, she made up some random story about how she was looking for her long-lost father before attempting to kick him. Can we just appreciate how powerful her kick was in this moment? Because she knocked a brick out of position and she's not even in her Titan form, so that's pretty impressive. While Annie escaped, Kenny was able to get a glance at her face, which put the entire plan in jeopardy. Kenny could easily blow her cover, especially if she got close to the royal family. So for that reason, Annie wanted to abandon the mission yet again, but Reiner actually had a good plan this time around. Instead of abandoning the mission, Reiner proposed that they get the founding Titan to reveal himself and suggested that they attack Wall Rose. This plan proved to be successful because once the Colossal Titan smashed the gate and let all those Titans in, the ensuing violence is what led to Eren awakening his Titan powers. The flashback ends with this moment of Eren in the cadets, and this is when he was struggling to master the ODM gear. He asks Reiner how he can improve because obviously, if you can't master the ODM gear, then how could he get revenge on the Titans like he promised he would? In this brief moment, Reiner is reminded of himself as a young child. Reiner helps Eren up and tells him that the only thing he can do to get better and accomplish his goals is just to keep moving forward. That line is super important at the end of this episode, so make sure you remember it. This flashback scene was then interspersed with images of Reiner loading up his gun in the present day as he prepares to pull the trigger and just end everything. At this point in time, Reiner is just tired of living and everything he's been through is just taking its toll on him, and he feels like he has nothing left to live for. Just as he goes to pull the trigger, Falco coincidentally bangs on the wall in frustration, which interrupts Reiner. Falco's frustration stems from the fact that he's not good enough to surpass Gabi, and he realizes that something needs to change if he's ever going to inherit the Armored Titan. If not for this moment from Falco, Reiner would have died there and then, and the power of the Armored Titan would have been passed to a newborn Eldian child somewhere in the world. The bang on the wall gave Falco a second to reconsider what he was doing, and he realized that he does still have something to live for, which is the remaining warrior candidates. The episode ends with Falco walking past the hospital as the soldier that he helped in the previous episode waves towards him. As they continue to speak, Falco tells the soldier about his fear that he won't be able to inherit the Armored Titan, as there's another talented candidate that everyone loves. As Falco begins to feel sorry for himself, his words are virtually identical to what Eren was saying earlier in the episode when he was failing to master the maneuvering equipment. The soldier is clearly touched by what Falco was saying and begins to wonder about why a person goes to war. As he says, some people are forced to do it by outside factors, such as the Eldians that we saw on the front line during episode 1. On the other hand, you have people who willingly charge into this hell, like Reiner when he insisted they continue with the mission on 2 separate occasions. The soldier says that people who force themselves to go into war are different from those who are forced by external factors, as it's likely that the people who force themselves see something that others don't. Whatever that motivating factor is, the man says that you'll never be able to find it out unless you keep moving forward. And that was the conclusion of this episode. Just in case I didn't make it clear enough, in that last line, the man is quoting what Reiner previously said to him. Major spoiler warning ahead if you haven't realized it by now, but the soldier that Falco is talking to is in fact Eren YAEGER. We'll get into the details of how and why it's possible another time, but the last line of episode 2 made it very obvious that this man is who we think he is. Let me know in the comments if you realized who this was before watching this video or seeing this title. But anyway guys, that was the breakdown for episode 3. I'd appreciate if you dropped a like if you liked it, and please do share it with anyone who you think might enjoy watching it. Until the next one, peace out.